Hi, I am Sharon Mancini, and I want to make sure that you understand how important it is to know this information when selling a vacant house. So I thought, where better than to have this video in a vacant house? And you may see that there is a dog, well, at least a dog tail behind me. And I promise I won't have a dog in your vacant house. This just happens to be one of mine where I'm doing the video. And so he comes where I go. So if you don't know who I am and why I'm qualified to speak about how to sell a vacant house, I am Sharon Mancini, and I buy houses and I either beautify them and remodel them and sell them again, or I hold them as rentals, as lease options. And I also am a listing agent, and I list houses in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and I help people to do the same thing that I do. I use all of my expertise to help people that are selling houses to sell them for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time and keep themselves safe while doing it. So that's what this video is about. There are special considerations when selling a vacant house, and I just want to review a few of them. So, number one, people don't really consider this very much, and I see it happen all the time. When you have a vacant property, you have to be sure that you have the correct insurance on it. So that would either be a vacant house policy or a builder's risk policy, depending on what you are doing with the house. But at a very minimum, you have got to change your regular homeowner's insurance policy. If you move out of the house and the house is vacant and you still have that usual homeowner's insurance policy on it, it's going to be invalid, because when a house is vacant, it has some safety concerns such as vandalism, fire, flood. If anything happens in a house that's occupied, people are going to notice much sooner than they would if the house is vacant. So that is a really important consideration. I see it all the time. People don't know that they need to change their underlying insurance policy. If you need help finding an insurance agent that will help you with this, let me know. I have tons of resources for anybody that is selling a house. The second most important thing is safety. So houses that are vacant, they not only are they more at risk of things like fire and flood and people not living in the house and noticing that there is an issue going on in the house, but it's also a target for criminals. So when you have a vacant house, there's a couple things that you can do to keep it safe. And the first thing is put building materials away. So if you have a house that you have been doing some remodeling on, you want these building materials to be away, not in view through the windows, not in view through the doors, and that will alleviate some of the risk. Just don't even have building materials out there that people could come in and steal, and it just will give you an extra layer of protection to make sure that these items are put away. So make sure every day when you're done the work, you're securing them somewhere. The second is a temporary alarm. I use a company called Simply Safe, and Simply Safe is an alarm system that you can install where it's pretty easy to install and uninstall. They have window protectors, they have glass breaking detectors, they have smoke detectors, they have video cameras. So I highly recommend getting a Simply Safe system. I've been very happy in working with the company. Their customer service is great, and the cost is definitely worth the cost of having the peace of mind that your property is protected. The last recommendation that I have in keeping your property safe is to use a light that looks like the house is occupied and someone may be staying there. So even if criminals can look in through the lower windows, what I recommend is buying a light that can be purchased on Amazon, and this light mimics the look of a TV inside. Like when someone is watching TV in their bedroom at night, there's a certain flicker that happens that can be viewed from the exterior of the house, and you can tell that someone is upstairs watching TV. In this case, there is not going to be anyone watching TV. No one is up there, but you do have the light that may help to make criminals think that someone is actually up there and this is not a good house to break into. I will note the light down below, and if you have any questions about this, let me know. So the other thing I want to talk about, and I talk about all the time, you may be sick of hearing me talk about staging, but staging houses, if you are selling a house that is vacant, staging is all more important. I don't know if you can tell in this video or not, but it sounds pretty echoey in here. So I am actually over here staging this house because it's going to be going on the market, and I don't want that echoey feeling. Like, I don't want to stage it with furniture because in this marketplace, it's sometimes good if you can't really tell the layout of the rooms, but this place is pretty small and it's pretty easy to figure out the layout of the rooms. And in vacant houses, I recommend, if you can't figure out, like, is this a living room, a dining room, an office, a nursery? What is this room? I recommend bringing in certain areas that you will stage, such as the living room, the kitchen, and the primary bedroom. So by staging those 3 areas, you can kind of give people an indication of how it would be to live in here, and it will help them to visualize their furniture in here and see how the layout. Sometimes people, when I'm showing people houses, they come in and they're like, I just don't know how this would be laid out. So giving them a visual upon entering the house and seeing how they can make the living room look. The primary bedroom is important because people spend a lot of time. That's where they sleep, that's where they read. This is an important part of their home, the primary bedroom. So you really want to have it be warm and cozy and feel good and have it so they can imagine living there. And the third is the kitchen. So you don't bring furniture into a kitchen, of course, but what do you do? So in kitchens, I bring in towels, I bring in bowls of apples, I bring in a wine bottle and wine glasses. I really just try to make it as cozy as possible. I even stage the refrigerator. So I'll put strawberries in the refrigerator, Pellegrino water in the refrigerator, and I just really try to make it look like someone is living there so people can imagine themselves living there. Because in a vacant house, sometimes the heat's low, it just doesn't feel that cozy. People have trouble really kind of visualizing themselves. So when we are selling a house that is occupied, you can, like, as we work together, we will work on staging each room. So we will probably actually remove a lot of things instead of adding things. So if you have a house that is occupied, it's more about removing the things. When you have a house that is not occupied, you really want to give it kind of a warm and cozy feel and have people be able to visualize it. And you want this house to be something that doesn't feel so echoey and so like just kind of cold and impersonal. So it's all about, staging is all about either depersonalizing or personalizing. Not so much personalizing, but just making it feel like a home instead of just an empty, cold, vacant, echoey house. I talk about staging a lot in my videos. You know, it's a very important part of my process. Even when I'm working with people where I'm just listing their home, it's not even one of my houses, I still stage the home. I stage all of my listings free of charge because I want people to be able to sell the fastest for the most amount of money. And I used to own a home staging company, and I learned how to stage houses, how to get that emotional appeal going. I actually have different videos about staging. If you want to scroll through my videos, see why it's so important to stage a house. But staging a vacant house is ultra important. So if you need help with this, let me know. And lastly is maintenance. So let me just tell you, all kinds of things happen to vacant houses. It snows, there's a windstorm, there are bugs on the floor, there is a toilet that no longer flushes mysteriously, there is a smoke alarm where the battery is going dead and it beeps every 30 seconds and drives everyone crazy that is walking through the house. So it is very important to maintain a house that is vacant. So I actually have a service that I call Fluff and Flush. So when I am working with people as a listing agent, I will go over at a minimum of once a week and make sure that everything is good in this house. Because somehow bugs die, they're all over the floor, it just looks yucky. I just like to get them swept up. People, especially in this, right now we're in January, so it is freezing cold, like icy out there. People track in ice, snow, salt. Even if you tell them no shoes in the house, wear booties, they still manage to track it in. So we want to get that cleaned up all the time. We want to go through the house every week and make sure all the toilets are flushing, nothing is overflowing, no one is going to come walking through the house and their kid uses the bathroom and then comes splashing out. Like, we just want to make sure that all of this is handled, as well as like light bulbs burn out, the battery situation that I mentioned with the smoke detectors. We just don't want that extra kind of beeping noise, and it just seems like the house is very unloved. And if people think the house is unloved, they're going to offer a lower amount. So we want the house to look loved, fresh, new, exciting, and we need to really touch these buyers emotionally to have them make an offer and stick through the process from contract to closing to avoid the fallout that I've talked about in my prior videos. These are some tips on how to keep yourself safe, how to still sell your house for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time, even with a vacant house. And I am happy to work with you. I have much more knowledge in this head than just the things that can come across in these short videos. So if you want to work together, if you have a house to sell, whether it's vacant or occupied, please give me a call. My number is 609-678-8208, and I hope to work with you soon. Thanks.